Welcome to Still Surviving and Walking in Your Purpose. Our next guest has an amazing story of forgiveness. Please welcome to our show Certified Life Coach LaRonda Howard. LaRonda, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So LaRonda, please tell our audience, who is LaRonda Howard?
Well, LaRonda Howard is from a small town, Folkestone, Georgia. This certified life coach, a trainer, new author, published author, motivational speaker, just someone that loves to pour into other people. I love to see people win. I love to see people get unstuck. And one of my taglines is helping people forgive, heal, and live out their purpose. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Forgive, live, heal,
Yes.
and live out their purpose.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. So LaRonda, please share with us your survival story.
Sure. My story, as I mentioned, I'm from Folkestone, Georgia, and it starts from my hometown. I share in my book about, having to be bullied. I mean, since the time that I was first or second grade. I mean, can you imagine having to wear glasses at such a young age and people calling you four-eyed, just everything under the sun? It started there, and then it just built upon that. And it just caused my self-esteem to just go plummet. By the time I was in middle school, I had friends. I didn't even call them friends. More of associates, people I hung out at school. But when I got home, that was my safe haven. Being home, I'm the oldest child, the only daughter my parents have. So a lot of times I found myself just going in my room, shutting the door, and just being by myself. I isolate myself a lot. And my sanctuary was my grandmother's house. I mean, there was nothing better than being at my grandma's house, and she was like my best friend. I enjoyed every weekend I would spend with her growing up, and so that's where I just felt safe. Like I said, my parents' house and with my grandmother's house. So I really enjoyed. That's how I dealt with it, and I feel so bad for children now and teens because they don't have a way to escape. I mean, with social media, and all those things, it's 24/7. The bullying that children especially have to deal with. But in my book, I talk a lot about having to forgive others, and so that was one of the things I didn't realize how much I had internalized that period of time. Like I said, from about second grade till about 11th grade, dealing with different levels of bullying and just being harassed by my classmates, other students. Some of them were preacher kids. They were the worst ones.
And that's such an important time of development.
Exactly.
You said from second grade all the way up to middle school.
Past middle school.
Past middle school to high school. To high school.
Yes.
To have to endure that. And we know, like you said, it's even gotten worse.
It has.
Because with social media, bullying is nonstop. So there really isn't any way to kind of get away from it.
It's not. Yeah. So... and I, like I said, I just held on to those people and just that negativity of what they used to say about me. From I had my lips were too big, I was too hairy, just all types of stuff that kids can just be really cruel. And so I held on a lot of that, and when I finally just like released it, and that was only a few years ago that I realized how much damage they had done, me allowing that to fester within me, to hold on and be resentful. When I would go home, I would not want to go anywhere that I thought any of my classmates would be. I know sometimes my mom will be like, hey, so-and-so wanted to catch up with you. They haven't seen you since high school. I'm like, well, they just won't see me because I didn't want to see anybody that reminded me,
you.
Yes, of the pain that I went through in school. So when I
So even though you were an adult,
yes,
that was still a part of you.
Exactly. I allowed that to be such a part of me. Like I said, I didn't even realize until I just had one day. I'll never forget. I was at the red light, and God was just like, "You need to forgive." And I'm like, "What?" At that point, I'm like, I forgive them. I let that go. But He really showed me parts of me that I was still holding on to that negativity, and just I realized I hadn't really forgiven, because if I saw them at that point, I didn't want to have anything to do with them. So I realized I hadn't really truly forgiven. So it just really helped me go through that process and journey of forgiving those individuals. Mm-hmm. And now if I see them today,
you feel
nothing. I would laugh, talk. It would not be an issue. But back then it was like, I don't want nothing to do with these individuals that really caused me pain. Yes.
Yeah.
But now I see that pain was for my purpose. And it's like, I'm grateful now.
Mm-hmm.
I can really say I'm grateful for those individuals that gave me such a hard time, because now I pay it forward. I'm a mentor to so many. I love high school and college age young women, but I also help, of course, in the younger age girls, and I can empower them, and that's a part of my the work that I do. Is I love empowering other young women, because I know how it feels. They feel like you just don't fit in.
Right.
I used to think, why do I have to be so unique? Like, why do you always pointing about different things about me? And I always try to feel like, why can't I just fit in?
Right.
Like, if I can just fit in, all this would go away, but I could never just fit in. And so, it was.
How did that play out?
Yeah.
Because the things that we experience growing up really do become a part of us as we get to be adults.
Very true.
How did that play out in your life as an adult?
Good question. It played out as I went to college. So I couldn't wait to finish high school. Like I said, I would get away from these people that never made me feel good about myself. So as I went to college, I'm like, this is a new start. I was living in the dorms, things were going well, and of course I was working as well, and started talking to this guy. Well, he started talking to me, and it felt great. It was like, for the first time, I never had a boyfriend in high school.
Not all the way through high school.
All the way through high school in a small town, either because I was maybe related to them. They didn't want to take that chance.
It was that small.
Yes. Maybe I would be, could be related to that guy, or they were the ones that were picking on me.
Or being the bullies.
So being the bully. So I was like, I didn't want any part of that. So when I moved off to college, this guy, he was a couple of years older than me, gave me attention, and we worked together. And so it was like, wow, for the first time, he's telling me all these things I want to hear.
Right.
It made me feel like, oh, I'm special, I'm beautiful, all these great things. So, it allowed me to get in a relationship that he wasn't ready for. He was hurt from previous relationships, previously married and whatnot, and me just being naive about what I really need in my life and what I shouldn't accept.
Right.
Just being in a bad, it wasn't abusive or anything of that nature, but just not on the same wavelength.
It wasn't. It wasn't good for you.
No, it wasn't. And as we tried to work it out, it just got worse and worse. We even broke up many times. One time we broke up for 3 years, and then those soul ties. I can be transparent. We had sex. We did all those things in college, and so as we were trying to break away from each other, we kept pulling back to each other. It was like two hurt people, different things going on his past, different things from my past, and those two hurt people, it just didn't work out.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, so, but still, like I said, we ended up getting back together after those 3 years, and then find ourselves married, and it just wasn't a good thing. But even backing up, before that came about while in college. I got pregnant. We were, talking about not being safe about having sex. I ended up getting pregnant, realizing that I didn't want to face the fact. It was like, I knew, throwing up different things, that I had to be pregnant. Got the pregnancy test. Of course, it shows positive. Still was like, it can't be right. So I go to the clinic at the college campus, and they confirmed it. I'll never forget. The doctor was like, yes, you're pregnant, and what are you going to do about it? And I was like, well, him and I had already decided or talked about, we're going to get an abortion. And I was like, for someone that loved children and always knew that one day I was going to get married and have a child, for me to now be in that situation where I felt like, okay, there's no way out but to have an abortion, because who am I to have a child? I'm the oldest. I always did things right. For lack of a better word, goody two shoes. Never gave my parents a hard time. So who was I to stop that good image, that image that I was having? I was, the first in my family to go to college, so this can't happen. Right. And then he already had a young son, and no way did he want another child out of wedlock. Right. In a situation where I'm in college, he's not where he want to be in life. So when that doctor said that, I was like, yeah, we're going to go through it. She said, you don't want to do that. And she shared with me, I'll never forget, she was like, my sister had that, got an abortion, it's haunted her for the rest of her life. Heard it but didn't hear it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We hear what we want to hear. Right, because of the place that you were in. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's not me. We're going to go with this plan. So got home. We decided, he called a couple of people that he knew, that one particular friend, that his girlfriend had an abortion. It was outside of where we were, so we traveled about an hour, almost 2 hours away, a couple of weeks later, and had the procedure done. But that was, I'll never forget being there. Yeah. It was such a dark place. Traumatic. I mean, I'll just never forget the looks of the faces of the women. Young, of course, it was a lot of young, all races. It was just a place of death. I just, we're all there for a common reason, that we want, having a child we don't want, and we all know that we're going to be leaving there without a child. Yeah. And it was just a horrible place. And I'm transparent about it because I'm not proud of it. And I'm transparent about it in my book, because I had to learn to forgive myself. Yes. I truly had to learn how to forgive myself of something that I felt like I was going to go to my grave with. First of all, I never thought I would do it. Second, to have done it, I thought I would never tell anybody. Yeah. But as I remember one day, God was like, you're going to have to tell your testimony. I'm like, no, God, no. This is going to my grave. I don't want to tell anybody. The first two people I ended up having to tell were my parents. And it was not because I was at a place that I wanted to tell them. It was because at that time, me and the guy I had been with, we broke up. So I was like, oh gosh, he got this dark secret that over
something to hold over your head.
That's how I felt. And I was like, I gotta tell my parents. And so that's why I ended up telling my parents. Of course, they weren't happy when they heard the news, but over time, they understood where I was and was able to let it go. And it was just so weird during that time that I was pregnant. Come to find out that I had cousins younger than me that were having children that was out of wedlock. And of course, family were upset about it, but they quickly got over it. So it was like, wow, the enemy really had me thinking I was the only one. It would have been the worst thing. Like,
and you would only have one.
Exactly. And then it was just like, wow, okay. But yeah, so they were the first two that I shared my story with. And then, oh gosh, it was at least a 5 to 8 year span. And as I had friends that I felt like for the first time I can really just be myself, I began sharing it with them, and they were just like, wow. They were very supportive, encouraging, realized that I needed to share my story with others. I ended up having a mentee that also, she had her first child